Okay, so this is Talkaoke. Come and take a seat on the table of chat. Everyone's welcome. Have a seat. Come and get involved in this as well. There's everyone's welcome on Talkaoke. But the whole point of Talkaoke is it's up to you to decide what you want to talk about. We need suggestions, ideas. We need comments. You don't know what to talk about. What's your name?
Eduardo.
Can you hear me? Okay, what's your name?
Eduardo.
Eduardo, come and take a seat. Who have we got here?
I'm Anna.
Anna.
Yeah.
And I'm Mikey. Anyone else want to come and sit down on the table of chat over here? It's welcome to everybody. Okay, so as I said, the whole point of Talkaoke is it's kind of up to you to decide what you want to talk about. So we need to come up with a suggestion, with an idea of what to talk about. Eduardo, have you got any ideas?
Hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate. Why do you want to talk about hot chocolate?
Because they're good.
They're good? Okay, why?
Because they're having it right now.
Okay, so it's about now. It's about the moment. You know, we could talk about being in the moment, drinking the hot chocolate. Anna, have you got any suggestions about what?
I think it's a good idea talking about hot chocolate.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, the way how the chocolate, for example, is made, and when people decide that actually chocolate was good, is something maybe Ada can tell us more. I don't know.
Well, I mean, where does chocolate come from?
I don't know. Ada, do you know where the chocolate comes from?
Cocoa beans.
Cocoa beans. Where do the cocoa beans come from?
A forest.
A forest. Okay. Have you ever seen a cocoa bean plant? No. Have you?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, you have. What do they look like?
Like almonds.
Yeah. Do they really?
That's correct.
How do you know that? Have you seen one?
I saw it in the book.
You saw it in a book. Okay, so they look a bit like almonds. Okay. I mean, do we know where our things come? I'm drinking a little coffee here. Do I know what a coffee bean? Is it even whether it's a bush or a tree? Come and sit down. Come and get involved in this. You've got your lunch there. Do you know where it comes from? That's what we're talking about. Come on, yes.
I haven't got lunch.
Oh, well, still, come and have a seat. Come and have a seat. We have got Eduardo. We've got Anna. We're trying to warm this up. What's your name?
Guillermo.
Guillermo.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, at the moment, it all started off with Eduardo's hot chocolate, and he's very much enjoying it. And because he's drinking it now, we talked a little bit about how is it made, where does it come from. We only really talked about the chocolate constituent. What else is in a hot chocolate apart from chocolate?
Milk.
Milk. Where does the milk come from?
Cows.
Have you seen a cow?
Moo, yes.
Moo, yes, or boo, yes. Anyway, so I mean, do we think about where our things come from?
I try, yeah.
You try?
Yeah.
Were you in the queue for the coffee? Have I sort of taken you out of the queue?
I was walking into there. And
you just
why not?
strolling past.
You lured me in.
Okay, I mean, are you a coffee drinker?
Yeah.
Have you seen a coffee? What is it? A bush? A plant?
Yeah, it's a plant, right? It's the bean.
Yeah. It's a bean, yeah, but I don't know what. I've been drinking coffee for most of my life without really considering the agriculture of the coffee bean.
No, it's a tree.
It's a tree, a coffee tree.
Yeah, I confirm, it's a tree.
Yeah.
Just.
But I wasn't sure if it was a bush. You see, is it a bush, a tree? It's definitely. Have you seen the coffee tree as well as a
no.
cocoa tree?
The cocoa tree, I know the story of the cocoa tree because from what I remember from one of his books. So that's something that.
Yeah.
A library book.
Yeah.
The library book.
Yeah.
So don't remember the author, but we remember where we took the book from.
Yeah.
The beans are actually ugly, isn't it? They're not good for eating. Do you remember this?
Ugly beans.
Yeah, they.
Yeah. You chew them sometimes.
If I have no time for making a coffee, just chew.
You just chew a bean.
Yeah.
It's not the ones covered in chocolate. Those ones.
Oh no, coffee. I was talking about coffee bean. Huh?
They're toasted, so
they're toasted,
you can actually have them once they're cooked somehow.
Yeah.
So that's the point, yeah. And this is the same for the chocolate, actually.
Okay, you've got to toast the chocolate.
Yeah, otherwise it's ugly.
Yeah.
After roasted, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still toxic after you've roasted them.
Yeah. Okay, well, I mean, you see, there's people here that know a lot about technology, but do they know really about the coffee technology, or do they leave it to the experts over there and the chocolate technology? Do we know about this aspect of our worlds?
No.
Kind of. You know about it?
No.
I mean, do you like chocolate in its solid form?
I like both.
You like both, yeah? Both what? Solid and
Types.
liquids.
Yes.
Okay. And I guess we'd have to ask her. Come and have a seat. On the table of chat, we've got Guillermo, we've got Eduardo, we've got Anna.
Talking chocolate.
My name's Mikey. We're talking about chocolate. Do we know where? Come and have a seat. What's your name?
Sabrina.
Marina and
Sam.
Sam. So at the moment we're sort of talking. We started off with Eduardo's hot chocolate, which he's very much enjoying because he's having it now, and it kind of led to the discussion of how is it made? Where does it come from? Has anyone here seen a chocolate tree or cocoa bean tree? You have. Sam, come closer. Come closer.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
It comes from cocoa beans. And
Yeah.
They're usually grown in parts of Africa.
Right.
Gambia,
Yeah.
places like those.
Yeah.
And there's a big campaign about making all chocolates fair trade.
Right.
And some of the chocolates are fair trade, which has this type of logo.
Okay. So I mean, why would a chocolate be unfair? What's unfair about it?
Well, just like tea or many other things, people are paid slave wages.
Right.
So the coffee or tea they produce or
Yeah.
chocolate that doesn't even cover to sustain themselves. So
Right.
they're actually subsidizing us.
Okay.
So that's called slave trade.
Okay, so the people. So how does this work out? The people making the tea, the coffee, or growing it, are subsidising our coffees and teas and chocolates.
Rich people in Europe and America.
Yeah. Okay.
And
I mean-
that's why they're poor.
Okay. And so, okay. So did you, Marina? Did you know about this? Were you aware of this?
Sabrina.
Sorry.
Sabrina.
Sabrina. Oh, sorry.
No, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? Did you know that, Guillermo?
About fair trade, yeah.
Yeah.
Ahead of it, yeah, a bit, yeah.
I mean, do we think about the slave element of the coffee or chocolate when we drink it?
Well, I try to be fair trade.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I have to say, I don't really. I'm craving the caffeine or the chocolate, and I don't think about these things. I have to be honest. Anna, what about you on this one?
A few months ago, we bought a big jar of Nutella.
Yeah.
And same day, we read about Nutella not be really fair in the trading, and they were using kits for collecting nuts,
Yeah.
health nuts. So
Isn't it
and we
better to
said,
use
at that
kits?
point we said,
Yeah.
okay, this is going to be our last one, and it's
Yeah.
finished. I think it's about to finish. Edo.
Right,
So
okay,
this is going to be
yeah.
our last one.
I mean, what do you think? Is it right to use kids to gather the ingredients for Nutella? Or is it something for... You say no. What do you think, Eduardo? Would you like to have a job gathering nuts?
No, it's because it's breaking the right to play.
Okay, so you
Or
don't get to play.
education.
Okay. Okay. Sabrina, what do you think about this idea of children? I mean, maybe if it was a fair trade thing, and then you get some money. I mean, would that work? Would you like to earn money?
No.
No, you wouldn't. What's
I
that?
would make it a game.
Make
You
it
could get
make
the
it
most.
into a game.
You
Yeah.
You could get the most
Nuts.
beans.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a bit like Mozilla Festival here.
Yeah.
We're all about openness,
Yeah.
transparent, fairness, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
And but our trade system isn't, as you know.
Yeah.
The big boys, they do trade not based on fairness, openness, and transparency. So fair trade is a movement
Yeah.
which is saying, no, let's be fair.
Yeah. I mean, okay. Give us a final thought, Guillermo. How much would a coffee cost if it was like, or a hot chocolate? How much would it cost if it was obtained in a fair way, where the
20 quid?
20 quid?
I just playing.
Yeah.
number,
Would you
but-
pay £20 for a fair cup of coffee?
Well, if my rent was lower because of the landlord not ripping me off, maybe yes.
Okay. So you're blaming the landlord on this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that your final thought?
Yeah, I would pay more if I
Yeah.
was not being exploited by others.
Okay. So you're also in the chain of exploitation.
Oh, we all are.
Okay. So
Some
that's-
more than others, of
Okay,
course.
so we're higher up the chain, but we're also in the chain because all our money's going to the rent, so we can't spend £20 on a coffee. Okay, so this is Talkaoke Freeform Talk Show. Thank you, Guillaume. Yeah? Oh, hello, what's your name?
Federico.
What was it?
Federico.
Federico, welcome. Would you like to have a job gathering nuts and beans for Nutella?
No.
Even if you got paid good money for it?
No.
No? Okay, so maybe. Sam, give us a final thought before you go. And come and get involved in this. Have you got someone to order your coffee for? Ask this person behind you to get you a coffee.
I just want to share one.
Okay, yeah.
But he can give his final thought.
Okay, yeah, final thought, yeah.
Oh, actually, fair trade isn't that expensive.
Yeah.
Because all it is, they are asking for a good condition of working environment,
Right.
so they can send their children to school. So this
Yeah.
exploitation or
Yeah.
chain of exploitation could be cut down. And
So it wouldn't actually make much of an impact on the
it
cost
doesn't
of the
make, because we drink
Yeah.
tea and coffee anyway,
Right.
and to pay extra 2p for fair trade is
Yeah.
neither here or there.
So
but
it's
it will
not-
make a huge difference to people, the farmers
Yeah.
and producers of third world country.
So what you're saying is for 2p extra on your coffee, you can make a big difference to
Of
farmers.
course, yeah.
Wow. Okay. There's a point over here. What's your name?
Lynette.
Was it?
Lynette.
Lynette.
Yes.
You rushed to the table. Have you got something to say straight away?
Oh yeah, because I come from Kenya and
Okay.
we grow a lot of coffee, and
Yeah.
our neighbors in Ghana,
Yeah.
I think, produce the world's best cocoa.
Right.
So for chocolate, I think sometimes we ignore the societal reasons why you have kids. It's very easy for
Yeah.
these lovely boys to say no. Of course, I want to play.
Yeah.
But then there are societies where that is not an option.
Right.
There's societies where children have to actually go in and put in the labor to help
Right.
in the economics of the family.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of kind of societal things that need to change beyond the simple question of would you like to, of course, as an adult, I would prefer to play than go to work,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But then there are things that I have to do, and sometimes I do that so that my children do not have to, to do that. But there are societies that do not have those
There's
options.
not. It's not an option.
And as you said, an extra 2p for
Yeah.
coffee or tea or cocoa, really might not trickle down enough. It might still go back to the big boys and go
Yeah.
into logistics and
Yeah.
marketing and all that. But the farmers are always going to be exploited, unfortunately. And until the government sort out things like social amenities, making sure there's good healthcare, there's good education systems, there's good
Right.
road systems, children are still going to work.
Yeah.
Put in the labor for some of this, which is unfortunate. But
Okay.
yeah, that's
So
the
it's all
reality.
about, in a way, the whole structure of how the whole system works. Okay, it's about the government. We've got a new face to the table. We've got Lynette, we've got Sabrina, we've got Sam, we have got Eduardo, we've got Anna, we've got Federico, and my name's Mikey. What's your name?
Ian.
Ian. So at the moment we're talking about this, it all started off with Eduardo's hot chocolate. Where does it come from? And Sam's mentioned this fair trade, and how much more money would it take to actually get a bit more money to the farmers and the growers of this thing, so their children don't have to go and pick the beans. But what Lynette's saying is it's not just about giving a bit more money for the beans, it's actually about changing the whole system, the way it works. So that's. Have you got a view on this, Ian, or do you want to just listen in for a minute?
I have a view. So my view, I agree. So actually, I know it's still beans. So I actually pay for quite expensive chocolate.
Right.
Because once again, I know fair trade's good, but actually getting the money to the farmers and the system of doing so is a bit rubbish.
Is it a bit of a scam? That's the feeling that I get. It's a bit of a
I think it is a scam. I think big companies come in and they just go, right, we're gonna pay this much money, regardless of whatever, and you need to do this, and then you kind of get into that point where you're okay, great, and they go, you know what, we want even more for the same amount or less, and you're kind of stuck in this thing where you're like, well, I need this, I need the money, but they're just kind of straining as much out of you, and that's really problematic. And I think we need to be more supportive of kind of other mechanisms of getting this kind of stuff. So not just going for the big brands, because they are the ones that kind of come in and go, no, we want it for less and less and less and less.
Well, what about something like Nutella? Because Anna mentioned Nutella. I mean, is there like a sort of ethical version of Nutella? Because these guys want some kind of Nutella version.
Recipe
You can make it yourself.
Yeah, definitely, yes. They say it's a little bit different, so they call it Mami Nutella, but...
Okay, so you're already making your own Nutella?
Yes, definitely.
It's better than the one that the children make.
Okay, better than the one that the kids are forced to make in the slave labour factory. Okay, so better to get adults to make your Nutella is the answer than children, yeah?
I do believe that we could do both.
Right.
It shouldn't be fair trade against the current system.
Right.
Obviously, it's the idea that, of course we need a revolution. We need the whole system change. That's with everything. And that's what Mozzarella Festival is all about, isn't it? But at the same time, I could be sitting at home and not doing anything, waiting for the revolution. But a country I come from, Bangladesh, through NGO, we have eliminated absolute poverty. We have eliminated all the diseases, and now Bangladesh is food surplus. And we actually go to Africa to teach people irrigations, family planning, and we are doing it as a third world country. So it just goes to show that you can move both ways. You don't have to wait until the government and the system changes.
So you're saying it's NGOs that did this, so it wasn't the system is the same, but somehow things have got better in Bangladesh.
Few individual got around to say, look, fine, we'll have a revolution long term, but meantime I can make it change. I can, even as we said that, look how many change makers we had. All the religions tried throughout the world, but however we can change ourselves. We can make little changes.
So what Sam's saying is we can actually make the change.
In Kenya recently, so you might say something about what we're doing in Kenya, isn't it?
Well, you went to Kenya. Okay, well I'm going to come to you in a second in it, but let's find out your view of Kenya. What was Kenya like?
It was warm.
It was warm, yeah? I mean, what were you doing there?
We went to some schools and recorded.
What did you record?
We recorded
memories.
Memories.
Okay, so you were kind of doing like a documentary. Would you say that?
Kind of.
Okay. And what was your impression of the memories that were there?
They were different to what is here.
Yeah, in what way? Go on, give us an example.
How they were cooking.
Okay, well, Anna, I'm going to come to you because you seem to. Go on, tell us. Were you there as well?
Yes, we work on a project. It's funded by HRC, and it's about collecting memories from people who live in a very small area close to Mombasa.
Right.
And we collect memories to create an archive related to the maritime heritage in the area because we think it's very valuable.
Right.
So what we are doing is actually making people aware that they are amazing.
Okay, so telling people they're amazing.
Not telling them, just make them telling how amazing they are.
So making them realise themselves, oh, actually I'm amazing.
Yeah, exactly, because there are many things that they do and they are very valuable, but there are also there's lots of impacts coming from India and China with developments that are not actually good for the people who live there.
Yeah.
So we want to make them aware that they're actually okay the way they are. They can improve themselves with the heritage they have already there. So they don't need money coming from China or India.
I mean,
direct money and investment that will not bring them money. So they don't need that. So
so you're saying that investment business doesn't necessarily bring money to the local sailors in Mombasa?
As you were saying, most of the time is more interest from the government, not for the people. So most of the time, people will not see any development. So they will only see. Nice to see.
Let me just come to Lynette because you had a point. I don't know.
Yeah, actually, it's interesting because I want to combine both their comments to say that we need to educate the farmer because. Nutella could up the price by say 2-3p and that might never trickle down, but unless the farmers come together and actually organize, because when you think about it, Nutella, Cadbury and all these hashes are actually creating a market for something that the farmers are producing, and if they stop buying, then the farmers are actually in trouble. We've seen in Kenya now coffee farms are being converted into real estate projects because there's no market for the coffee, as much as Kenya has really good coffee beans, right? So it's about educating the farmers to know that if they come together and they, organize, form SACCOs, form some kinds of institutes that can then negotiate for
your
better.
Coffee's there.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
You are the best. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes.
Come and join this as well.
Hello, I'm here.
Yeah.
So if the farmers can come together and form groups, and actually they can negotiate for better prices, because that way they can even do their own R&D and their own research and find out that the prices in Europe, when you think about, for instance, flower farmers, they get really good prices, and Kenya produces, flowers for Europe. And how's that become sustainable? Because a lot of the farmers there are actually Dutch, so they know what the market is offering. But then a lot of the small farmers do not know how much Cadbury chocolate goes for in a market like this.
Do you think they'd be shocked to find out?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, Ian?
So I totally agree, and I think one of the things we also need to do is that the consumers, us, the people who buy, need to be welcome to try different things, because right now what happens is that it's a Nestle chocolate, so it's going to be like this.
So it's all about the branding, really?
Yeah, but I think we need to stop focus on following the brand and start going, actually, I'm going to try these new different types of chocolates or different types of coffee. So this is why the influx of artisan coffee has been such a big thing, because people are trying new things. But when it comes to chocolate, people are still I want a Galaxy, I want this, I want that. They're not used to trying new things.
Okay, so there needs to be a sort of similar kind of thing where people get very excited about artisan coffee. They need to get excited about artisan chocolate as well. Can we join in? Can we get involved in this? This is Talkaoke Freeform Talk Show at the moment. It all started with Eduardo's hot chocolate. We're talking about how to make the world a fairer place and get those chocolate producers and coffee producers, in on this kind of, look. I mean, this coffee is coming free, which is no good to Kenya, but someone's paying a lot of money for it, and it's not going to Kenya. It's not going to.
An interesting example is there's this credible story, I must say, of this guy who comes in from San Francisco and goes to the Met department in Kenya and buys all the weather data. So he's able to tell Starbucks in a few months, Kenya is going to experience a drought. So there's a surplus right now. The prices of coffee are low, so you better buy now. And in Ethiopia as well, if you buy now, in a few months there's going to be a drought, so the supply is going to be very low. So it's going to be very expensive, and they're able to do that. But also as a data,
so there is a technology element to this as well.
As a data person, it's also for me, going back to governments, that the governments are also not using their own data to kind of negotiate better prices for the farmers. That if the government could use its own data, they would be able to negotiate for the farmers and say, hold on to your stock. In 2 months, it's going to be very valuable. Then we can sell for better. And then forex for the government is also much better. But now, this is being done by foreigners in that sense.
Okay, so Starbucks is taking over the data, and they know what the flow of. They probably know as well, when people are sipping coffees and when they're going for the. For other drinks. I don't know, because the weather data, when they want an iced latte or when they want a nice...
Consumer, you don't have to buy Starbucks, so you could... No, I was just saying, that's how, in the same spirit of this festival, that you put your money where people are more open, more transparent, more have a sense of solidarity, and so on.
Okay. I've got a new face to say. What's your name?
Hi, Talkaoke from Netbox.
Okay, have you got any views on this? We're talking about this kind of, there's also, luckily, Lynette's brought in a data element to this, so we can keep relevance to the festival, because the data, it all started with your chocolate, didn't it? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, so we have a kind of data inequality problem, right? The problem is you have the centralization of information that optimizes processes, and that's a secret at the moment. Or it's whether it's an intentional secret, I don't know, but that's created an inequality between organizations. So you have people who have become basically vassal to the system. They're doing the crop picking, and there's probably multiple layers. So even there, they have superiority to the people who work in the field. So there's this kind of stacking of different resources, right? And the question is, how do you kind of tear that down without making things fall apart?
I mean, this is the thing, is everyone, Lynette's been saying, we need to keep the markets going. We don't want to just have people not buying Nutella and chocolate or whatever. and then no one can sell their coffee beans or sell their chocolate.
Right.
Cocoa
You don't want to smash the system.
Yeah, but
you want to fix the system.
You want to get people, you know, I don't know, what would be the sort of more fair trade version of a galaxy? You want people
I was in Ethiopia a couple of weeks ago, and what I saw is that there are some really positive efforts there. They're making coffee, and you know they've got the whole tasting thing and everything set up. And there's a real effort to try to take this, but just the supply chain is so advanced and so technical, especially if you look at things like those capsules. You know, like there's actually factories that are doing this work. You can't produce this in-house. You need special packaging units.
So coffee comes in capsules now rather than
right. The way we consume these products has changed, whether it's chocolates or whether it's coffee, and it just gets more inaccessible. So maybe going back to grassroots, like when you have people brewing their own coffee, you know, in a pot, like Turkish coffee or something, then that becomes accessible because you can just grind the beans and work with it. So if you go back to roots with the product and how you consume it, then you can empower local communities.
Okay, so there's this idea of data. I just want to come to Sam over here because, I mean, you're talking about what's going on in Bangladesh, and you feel like that is somehow things are working better in Bangladesh.
I just feel that we don't have to oppose one against the other. We can both coexist and co-work together. Fine, you work towards the ultimate, the good, long term. But short term, meantime, we can all change ourselves and do our bit. And fair trade, for example, they do give the certificate, but people have to provide that they have followed all the methods of fair trade, which means it's sustainable, that they have social inclusion, and they are given a fair wage for their, and they're also guaranteed a investment in the local community.
What about this question of data inequality? I mean, that's the thing that, what's your name again, sorry? Al, that Al brought up, and is that? I mean, how is that? Is that addressed in Bangladesh? Is that something that?
Oh yeah, luckily for Bangladesh is that because it was the first British colony, and people are very. They've got their own. They believe in open source. They manufacture their own softwares, and
so there's quite a sort of like
technologically, at least with the computer now over there, even in villages, people have two mobile. And they're downloading apps for loans, and so the Bangladesh government has gone really all its way to say, fine, we'll provide you IT, even in villages, and you deal with the whole world is your market.
Okay, so there is a bit of that kind of addressing that data issue in a way it's been easier, I suppose, than changing the market. You were going to say something, Ian.
So I'm going to throw a bob in here.
Go on, go for it.
I'm going to say stuff like weather data should be a public should be public.
A public resource.
A public resource.
It
shouldn't be owned by a company, and that company profits from that and sells it to everyone else. That should be something that is public, and then all the farmers and the companies can innovate on that and go, right, here's the baseline, but we can tell other things out of it. And you can, they can add their value to it rather than lock it down and then go, well, only person who knows this is me, which actually stifles innovation.
Okay, so keep the information open. I'll come to you in a second, Lynette.
Well, I have a response for Ian though on that. When there was a case, for instance, in the US with AccuWeather, which is an app that we all use, and the US weather data is actually open and freely available. But
okay, so in America it is actually
But then. Technically it is when you look at it, but then the biggest problem becomes the skills. AccuWeather has the resources and the skills to be able to convert it into something that they can sell, or something that you have access to for free, and however they make their money, right? But then if in Kenya today the Met Department opened up all the weather data and made it freely accessible, most of us wouldn't know what to do with it, and that's the problem, that there's still going to be some organization that has the skills and the resources to do that, and they are the guys who are going to benefit, and they can do whatever they want to do that.
So it's not just about the data, it's about how to analyze the data.
It's also about having the skills to analyze the data. It's not just about having a resource, it's about knowing
Sabrina,
what to do with the resource.
Give us a final thought before you go. Has it made you change the way you think about your, what have you got there, coffee or chocolate? Has it made you think about your chocolate, this conversation? A little bit, okay. All right, there's the final thought from Sabrina. We've got a free seat at the table. We're talking about this question of, it's about a level playing field and some equality when it comes to, let's say, the non-European and non-Western countries where the data, the information, the skills, the market doesn't seem to be. And so what are all the kind of consequences of that, and can it be addressed? Sam says yes. Just get the technology out there. But I'm just going to come to Al.
If you look at the UK, I mean, things aren't great here. You look at the Ordnance Survey. You've ever tried to buy map data? That's funded by the people.
Right.
It's funded by taxes.
Yeah.
But then you want to buy the maps. They charge hundreds, thousands of pounds. So I think setting an example here would be a good start. The US has actually got this worked out. If the public are paying for a data set, then that becomes public open source data, open data. And just as you were saying, at least that gives a fighting chance to build a better tool. If you put 4 or 5 people at Mozfest together, they might not build an AccuWeather, but they'll pull something together.
So there is a way actually to sort of get around it, but there is a bit of a scam from our government holding on to public data. Sorry, I just got a bit distracted by the fox going past, but Ian, give us a final thought.
I think that public data is important, and I think that I'd rather people have the ability or should have the rights to learn than it be locked away and just rely on companies.
Okay, I mean maybe the skills and the understanding of the data is also data in itself that needs to be freely available.
You end up relying on these companies to do all the stuff for you, and actually it doesn't have to be that way. Choice.
Okay, is our choice?
Just one small thing. The data, they do not make any. Doesn't make any sense themselves. So the way how we were talking about skills is very important, but the same set of data can be interpreted and analyzed, saying completely different things. So on the other side, I would like to say that it's important that the data are open, only because different skills and different thinking might bring us new and different information. So that's just the only point I'm saying before leaving.
Okay.
This was my last one.
Okay. Give us a final thought. Are you staying? Are you leaving? You staying here?
I'm staying.
You're staying. Okay. Okay. Have you got a fight? Are you leaving, Federica? Are you staying?
Yeah.
Okay. Give us the final thought. Okay. Are you?
Free the data. And tell authorities, especially if you've paid for that data should be open.
Okay, so we've paid for a lot of data through taxes.
Don't want to pay for it twice.
And we end up paying for it twice.
Exactly.
Okay.
I have a response to him as he leaves.
Let me get final thought from Sam.
I was actually responsible for putting together the Kenya Open Data and the Open Data projects for the government of Somalia. And just like the skills gaps, the problem is the constitution and legislations that put together, for instance, the bureaus of statistics require them to make money out of this. So that already presents a barrier. The system is already broken.
So
in
who's
that
saying
way.
they have to make money out of it?
They have to make money out of it. So the open data is kind of a new concept, while these institutions were formed 10, 20 years ago, and part of that was you will be collecting data, and then you will be selling that data and make money for the institution. So those are the things that need to change even before we can demand as citizens. No, we should continue to demand. Yes, we should continue to demand, but then to kind of push the government. And I'll say, during my time running the Kenya Open Data projects for the government of Kenya, the Bureau of Statistics actually started making more data available for free, because we made a case that, for instance, the statistical abstracts, they don't sell enough copies to warrant that level of barrier, so they actually put it on their website. The economic survey, they put it on their website. At a point, we offered to buy the license so that we can make it free, and they saw the case and actually did that. So we must continue to create demand, and those are my final thoughts.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, it's something like information wants to be free.
I do feel that the knowledge is power, and now these private companies are making so much money out of data because data has become new gold.
Yeah.
And
data is the new gold.
Yes, it's more powerful than the real gold.
Yeah.
So I do think the government need to see that how data, like Google's, Facebook, and so on, they need to be brought under public ownership. So it's owned by everybody, not just few people who are monopolizing.
So like the Bank of England owns all the gold, maybe there should be like a bank of data.
That's right, for the benefit of the entire people.
Okay.
Okay, I really enjoy.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks for getting involved. We're here all day, so maybe it's time. I think it's time for a natural break. But look, the coffee queue is huge now when we stopped. There was nobody here when I started this. Anyway, thanks everyone for taking part. We'll be back shortly. Let's start this thing up. You're here now. You're going to a workshop in a few minutes, so we need to get the conversation compelling enough for more people to come by the time you go off to your workshop. Let's just get names. My name's Mikey. What's your name?
Alan.
Alan and?
Joel.
Joel and Mikey, as I said. Anything you want to get the we just finished the previous session with data is the new gold. You could sort of riff off of that. Alan, do you need a coffee? Shall we? Sometimes it works if you just put on all.
So I'd like to make a suggestion.
Yeah.
There's some people in this queue, and they think that the only way to get coffee is to queue for it.
Yeah.
But there is actually an easier alternative, but nobody's queuing for coffee.
Yeah, but that's a different type of coffee.
That's the best kind of coffee.
Okay. All right. So we've already got controversy. Yeah. What kind of the filter coffee is the best?
Coffee.
The best
really,
sort of coffee.
It's the best for you as well, because that stuff is like highly compressed, burnt to a really high temperature.
Yeah.
And often it's very dark roast, leaves a really bitter taste, where that's much more smooth and mellow and hydrates you at the same time.
So let's just ask you, guys, did you know that there's no queue for the filter coffee, which is a much more healthy kind of coffee, apparently, according to Alan?
Zero queue.
Zero queue, yeah. There's zero queue for the filter.
Yeah.
If you, this is very popular in the US, this type of coffee as well, I've discovered. Okay, Joe, have you got a view on the coffee?
Well, I mean, I guess you queue for quality, but maybe that's also going to result in the same stimulation. So the taste, maybe you lose a little bit, but it's interesting how long you would choose to wait for slightly nicer taste.
Okay, so is it like a preference of quality over the...
That also applies to the other ways we live.
Okay. What you mean, that we're a little bit obsessed with quality?
Maybe we're obsessed with quality.
Yeah. Come and have a seat on the table to chat now that you've got your coffee, your lower quality coffee. So we've got Alan, we've got Joel. What's your name?
I'm Nicola.
Nicola, welcome. And I'm Mikey. I don't know really what we're talking about here. We're kind of talking about coffee, but the fact that there's a huge queue for the concentrated coffee, but no queue whatsoever for the filter. Alan?
So I wonder if coffee is a metaphor for the coffee queue is a metaphor for how we live our life. We sometimes we see a big queue, we join the queue.
Yeah.
At lunch earlier today, there was a massive queue for the meat food.
Yeah.
And I don't mind fish or vegan food. There was no queue, and you could have as much as you wanted of those.
Right.
No queue. Also, there's an economic imperative. If you go to high street coffee shops like Pret, Starbucks, they often have a low-cost option. So Pret, if you bring your own cup, it's 49 pence for a coffee. But if you have this kind of coffee, because there's a higher labour cost, they tend to be £2-3 upwards.
Right.
Starbucks, you can get free refills. You get a filter coffee for $1.50, $1.60, and you can keep going back all day. There's no limit to refills.
Is that a good idea, though, to drink that much coffee? Anyway, Nicola, what's your view on coffee?
It can be a very expensive hobby because my husband has multiple different ways of making coffee with lots of equipment. So beware of what you're getting into if you're a
It's a slippery slope. It's a gateway. The filter coffee is a gateway coffee to more serious. And what your analysis, therefore, of the queue, I suppose, is that these are more hardcore coffee drinkers, and this is just for the lightweight coffee drinkers.
Possibly, I don't know. I think there are different ways of making filter.
Yeah, so there's also different ways of making filter coffee. Come and join in, come and get involved in this. Yes, you can. I don't know, where do you stand or sit on the coffee, Joel?
I think it's a drug, and you should be very, very careful on how you are sucked into something which isn't called a drug.
Okay. Do you think it should be sort of restricted or kind of legislated
I think you should be
against?
taught in school the chemical difference of how your mind changes.
Right.
And be aware of what these substances do to your mind.
Okay.
So
I mean, does that just go for coffee or for other?
That goes for every type of substance which alters your state of mind or your chemistry in some way.
So I guess we're talking about mind-altering substances, not just coffee now. And do we know enough about them, how they work, how they actually alter our mental state?
You mentioned urinalysis before. Was that a pun or?
No, it wasn't, but it could be. Yeah, it could be.
Okay, because I thought you. Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. You're in trouble. Okay, so we're talking about, in a way, Joel's opened it up to other mind-altering substances, not just coffee. Do we know enough about them, how they actually change our, coffee included, how they change our mind, our way of thinking, or do we just consume?
So apparently, if you drink coffee within the first half hour of waking up, it has negligible effect on you. Because some people are like, oh, I'm going to drink coffee before I do anything in the morning.
That's me,
But they say that within the first half hour, it has no effect whatsoever.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
And
because I still feel tired after. I mean, this is why the Talkaoke is very late running today. I do apologise, although I don't think anybody noticed that we started 2 hours later than we were supposed to. Partly because of this reason.
Now, I once went to somebody's house and stayed overnight, and then the next morning they said, "You like coffee, don't you?" Yeah. And I was drinking coffee, and then later on they said, "Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, it's decaffeinated."
Yeah.
That's not a friend anymore.
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
it's the opposite of dosing.
I mean, is it though? In the mind, it's like Pavlov's dog. Once the bell is rung, we're kind of like, you know. The whole process, the coffee process happens anyway, whether it's caffeinated or decaffeinated. That it's not actually about the drug, but about some kind of ritual, some kind of way of waking up.
I'd like to ask another question as well, because we've got open cup coffee and closed cup coffee.
Well, Nicola's more open source.
Yeah, I particularly find that coffee is a nasal experience as well, so it's nice to smell the coffee as you drink it, whereas the closed
I don't smell this?
I don't feel the same flavour.
Really
I actually only drink coffee to get high.
Okay.
But I haven't drunk for a month because I just stopped drinking at some point. So I think it's good to discipline and check in with yourself on how these things affect you.
Yeah.
And to become dependent on something is ridiculous.
Okay, so
terrible. I have been enjoying this. I've been ill as well, so I'm very healthy when I'm ill.
Yeah.
So I've been drinking for the last 2 days and very much enjoying it. Coffee's great.
Okay, so it's giving you a good buzz.
Well, it activates my mind. I think it dampens my empathy.
Right.
That's what I found.
Really?
It does activate my mind more.
Okay, let's ask people, does coffee dampen your empathy? Are you less empathic after that cup of coffee? Yeah, well, this is what Joel is saying, that actually, you know, part of the coffee drinking experience is it. Anyway, are you, Alan? You're just taking a photo. Okay, I thought you were going. We need you.
I am, if that's okay. Yes, fine.
Absolutely fine. But give us a final thought before you go.
There's also coffee paranoia. I find if I drink too much coffee in the morning, in the afternoon, were you smiling at me then? You were. I could tell there was
paranoia.
There was something I said then that you didn't like.
Yeah.
Oh, you're laughing at me now.
Yeah.
Everybody's laughing.
Yeah.
Coffee paranoia.
Okay, don't worry about him. He's got coffee paranoia. It's probably a good time to leave the table. But what's your name?
Veronica.
Veronica. We've got Nicola. We've got Joel and Mikey, and maybe some other people come and join us. We're talking about. Do you have coffee paranoia? Does coffee dent your empathy? It's the first I've heard of these effects of coffee, but Veronica,
in fact, coffee have many effects on me. On the other hand, it can make me be more aware. But on the other, it's distracts me.
Right.
Yeah. It has two effects. I think it depends on the quantity of coffee.
Okay, so sometimes it distracts you, sometimes it makes you more aware, maybe more alert. Okay. We're talking about coffee, the drug of coffee. I think everyone's acknowledged it's a proper drug, but what is the drug actually doing? Nicola, have you got any views on this?
I probably should have, but
you just sit and drink your coffee.
yeah. I do believe I saw a news article about how if you drank coffee, there was an association with decreased chance of Alzheimer's, but I'm not sure.
You can't remember.
No, I can't.
Okay, so
coffee, I didn't drink enough coffee.
So coffee helps you, I guess, keep your mental faculties. John?
I think neurologically, it's very similar to low levels of cocaine.
Right.
But which has such a bad stigma attached to it for some reason.
Cocaine.
I don't know. No, I think collectively the human species knows quite a lot about how it affects us. Me personally, I remember that fact, and nothing more.
Okay, so coffee definitely a drug. Does it have some beneficial effects? Are you a coffee drinker? Have you got friends who are coffee drinkers? Come and talk about it. We've got Veronica, we've got Nicola, we've got Joel and Mikey. We're sort of talking about the effects of coffee.
But it has effects on beauty also. Depending, for example, in women, it causes cellulitis. Cellulites? Really? I don't know how to say it. Yeah, and the legs. Yeah. But also is because of the oxidants. Yeah. It can have good effects on the skin of the face.
Right.
Yeah.
It has a good effect on the
skin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
I knew that beer can have a good effect on beauty, but I didn't know that coffee can as well. Okay, so we're talking about the effect, all the drugs. We're kind of in a almost like a playground of different drugs. You've mentioned coffee, you've mentioned cocaine. What do people think about about drugs in general? And do they have a beneficial effect sometimes? Is it is it a trade-off? What do people think about drugs in general?
Well, I think that some drugs are socially accepted. For example, cigarettes, alcohol, maybe cannabis, but other ones are not socially acceptable. So I don't know. It's relative.
Yeah, I mean, do we seek out these kind of experiences or these kind of altered states? Do you seek them out?
Well, I'm not sure because I haven't proved other drugs apart from alcohol.
I think that's a no because you haven't sought them out so far.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a no then. Joel, do you seek out altered states?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the mind's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
And to experience in slightly altered ways, I find very interesting.
Okay.
I'm curious about what I am.
Okay. And do you think having that altered state actually gives you a different perspective on who you are? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think it's quite hard to do that without. Like coffee takes you to a different place. It stimulates you.
Yeah.
Which is a very, very rare experience to have unless you've had a coffee before.
Right, okay. So
it's hard to explain what it's like to someone who hasn't had a coffee.
In a way, it's a bit like Talkaoke because we find it very hard to explain the drug of Talkaoke, but it does become very addictive after a while. You're just, starting it, but you will become addicted, and you'll be coming to all the sessions that we do around London. Anyway, here's our cards.
I will,
yeah.
But not addicted.
You're not addicted yet,
but
no.
Curious.
Curious, yes. Okay, so we're talking about altered states. Do you ever seek out an altered state? Joel does. Veronica, not so much, apart from with coffee. Give us a final thought.
Well, coffee is great.
Yeah.
Definitely, it gives you another levels of creativity and inspiration. So, viva
coffee actually gives you inspiration.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 And anxiety. We heard about the dark side, the downside as well. Yeah. Okay, what's your name?
Christine.
Christine.
Yeah.
And we got Joel, Mikey. We're sort of talking. We're talking about mostly coffee, but also other mind-altering substances as well. What Joel's saying is it tells you more about yourself if you can somehow change your perspective.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yes, so my background's in psychology.
Okay.
And I've done some looking into is this a thing? What is this?
Yeah, well, it kind of is a thing. Yeah, this is Talkaoke. But I just will say that we are by default we do put this online, but we don't have to. It's up to you guys. You own it just as much as we do, or as I do. So it's kind of if you decide you say something that you want to be struck from the record, erased, we will simply erase it. Anyway.
Psychedelic drugs is what I'd probably talk about. They are an altered state, but I'd say they're a good and bad altered state. People could seek them out and relationship advice if they're looking for a new job, if they just want a mind spark. And so psychedelics is an altered state, which I'd say is beneficial.
So what are you saying? Psychedelic drugs can actually give you an insight into problems in your life?
Yeah, so a lot of research is into you can take it for like a mental health well-being sort of resort. And it gives you this altered state, a different way of looking, which is what it's been preached for, I guess.
Okay. So that can actually help you with problems. Are you agreeing with this, Joel?
I am, because I studied innovation and design and have had experiences which have allowed me to do projects.
So it actually helps you innovate?
Quickly. Yeah, absolutely, Being able to hold visual spaces in my mind a lot clearer and being able to work through problems very, very quickly. And there's a lot of research that was done before it got shut down that was looking very promising for science and design and engineering. A lot of Nobel Prizes that have come out of that research, which is quite openly known within the people that...
Well, I didn't know that. I didn't know that psychedelic drugs were at the root of innovations that led to Nobel Prizes. That's a new one for me, I have to say. Did you know that?
No, I think I've known they're kind of used for like inspiration or do you think they could be introduced into a workspace? So say for example you were hosting a workshop. Do you think it could be something where it's like, right, everyone takes a bit of funky mushrooms, a bit of psychedelic
Would it actually help a creative workshop, or would it kind of, lead to a bit, make it a bit too noisy and chaotic?
I think a balance of mediation would help, absolutely, with people who are experienced. And to dip in and out of that mediation and internal work.
Okay, absolutely. That's interesting. I should say that we're actually here part of the Play Labs, which is downstairs as part of Ravensbourne School of Art. I don't normally, I've got a rule when I sit in the middle of the table of not giving any information, opinions, facts, but this is kind of relevant because we're here as part of the Play Labs, which is on the ground floor, which is experimenting with cyberdelics, which is a kind of like drug-free sort of, in a way, change of perception using virtual and augmented reality to change your perception without any kind of chemical side. So maybe you should go and check that out at some point. They're down there on the ground floor behind the Mozilla desk. But anyway, that's just an aside. I feel like, we didn't, because Joel was only going to stay here for 2 minutes because you're going to a workshop. We didn't get, we got a very interesting conversation, but maybe it's a little bit too controversial, maybe. But it's certainly been an interesting conversation. Let's just get maybe a couple of final thoughts, and then I'm going to get some water and some coffee.
Final thoughts on psychedelic drugs?
Yeah, I mean,
altered states.
This altered state, could it actually be used? Is it about brushing off the stigma? I mean, what's the way forward for psychedelic and creativity, I suppose, is what we're talking about.
I'd say, going back, altered states are important. Different perspective taking in general is very important, not only for yourself, but for the community you're in. So yes, if you do decide to go through in a psychedelic experience, make sure it is safe. And guided and mediated, like you said.
How do you make it safe?
Well, I wouldn't, it's not legal here, so that's one thing. But a lot of resorts in Amsterdam, you can go to, and they've got a psychedelic sitter who's had training, who can guide you through your trip, and that might actually be more enriching experience. So. Safety and altered perspectives, important. Okay. There you go.
So it's actually useful not just for you, but for the community. That's an interesting point. Joe, have you got final thought?
Yeah, I've actually been on that trip, organised by the Psychedelic Society. There's also Cybernetic, or Cyberdelic Society, which is using technology rather than substances.
I mean, that's what these guys downstairs,
which is absolutely fantastic. Again, there is groups in London that meet and show what projects they're doing, and it's inspiring, a bit like this today. which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
Step using technology rather than things which people.
I mean, that comes to a whole, I guess, other questions. Can we, talking about the change of perspective and how important it is, can technology actually help us change perspective as much as psychedelic drugs?
And I think especially we need stories from people who are working within different fields and how it's benefited them and how it's been engaged in different ways for their work.
Great stuff. Final thought?
Oh, I was just going to mention that with perspective taking, one case where they took a VR experience of the refugee camps and they brought it to the actual UN conference.
Right.
And they got people to look from a different perspective what it actually is like, what it is present.
Yeah, experientially,
So, yes, do it. Technology, drugs, altered states.
Okay, I mean, do you think that we could have got the UN delegates to also go on a bit of a trip at the same time, or that would be pushing them too far?
Well, maybe without the actual use of substances, you know, you can be stimulated and taken to some other places physiologically, maybe through stimulation, rather than taking the substances. So using technology to just slightly alter where you're at in that space. And then using VR is amazing. You know, for me, that's about installing empathy or experiencing empathy in a different way. And empathy is such an important thing.
We started off this whole conversation that the coffee is denting your empathy, but
it is, but it's allowing my mind to go to a space where I can understand things in a different way, and then I can come back off the coffee and have higher empathy. So it's just a wave.
Okay,
no problem.
So keep surfing the wave. We'll be back soon. We're here all afternoon. Thank you for taking part in Talkaoke. I need some water. Thanks very much.
Getting there.
Getting
Excellent.
there.
Okay,
and
so
what kind of music you like?
Well, I like variety. I like Sibel. Anyway, it shouldn't be about me too much, but I'm the moderator. So anyway, Ren, what are you doing here?
I'm actually a facilitator. I did a talk this morning about breaking down barriers to open source software contribution for neurodivergent individuals.
Oh wow, that's too complex for me to process even. Did you hear that, Mikey?
No.
Can you repeat the whole sentence, please?
I sure can. I did a talk this morning about breaking down barriers to open source software contribution for neurodivergent individuals.
Welcome.
Okay. Yeah. So neurodiversity encompasses autism, ADD, dyspraxia, dyslexia, dyscalculia, Tourette's, speech disorders, sensory processing.
Important topics, yes.
So that's what I talked about.
And Sibel, what about you?
I had 2 sessions. Yesterday I talked about Tor project. I was demystifying deep web, short story. There is no deep web.
There is no deep web.
No, it's a Tor network. And today I had a session with my friend. We talk about Internet Health Report Brazil. We are trying to do this, accomplish this in Brazil. That is a huge country, like continental size. Well, we just started. Maybe next year I can present something more elaborated. Basically it's this time. Just 2 sessions.
Okay.
So far.
And are you guys doing anything more within the festival? Because I think there is couple more days, but elsewhere as well, right? Maybe in...
I only find out all of my information from the Talkaoke table, so I don't... Everything I know, I get second hand. So I've not been to anything. I don't know what's going on. I find out. So yeah. So people need to tell me, because I don't actually look at the program or anything. So there's more. There's another 2 days. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I thought. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I turned you down actually because you were loud.
You turned me down. How dare you? I turned up and you turned me down. Okay. So have you guys done any? Have you been to any talks? Yeah. So what was the most interesting for you? Ren?
Oh God. I actually really enjoyed a talk that I went to that came out of another talk. Yesterday we had a small breakout session where we talked about just the language surrounding neurodivergency and stuff, so that was good. It was just a little breakout talk after another one up at the neurodiversity space, and I've just enjoyed the neurodiversity space in general. So the Carnegie Mellon people have a wonderful display up on level 7. You should check it out. We've got Empathy Rocks, we've got models, and hello. I'm going to stop talking now and pass the mic.
No, that's okay. Hello, welcome. What's your name?
Jeevan.
Jivrin?
Jivan.
Okay, hello, welcome. We have Ren, we have Sibel, we have Mikey, and my name is Oscar. So what brings you here?
The technology and new advancements in the future.
Okay, excellent. So what's the future going to look like? What do you think?
Lots of AI and stuff like that. And
Lots of AI.
More advanced technology.
Okay, so you think that the AI is going to be prevalent?
Absolutely. So are you down in the youth zone? Are you down on level 2 in the youth zone, or are you just, yeah? You have? What's your favorite part?
Probably the.
Hello, welcome.
Probably the security, the privacy and security talk.
Excellent. Welcome, welcome. Hi. What's your name?
Bobby.
Bobby, welcome, Bobby. We have your son.
Jeevan.
Jeeving. I'm sorry, I'm... yes. Jeevan. Okay. So we have Jeevan, we have Ren, we have Sibel, we have Mikey. And so we are talking about this amazing festival and what brings us here.
Yep. I don't really like this concept of, for me, it may have been going for many decades, but the concept of neurodiversity, because I think it's so important. And actually, earlier on we were talking about psychedelic drugs and a question of perspective, but I think different people's minds give different perspectives anyway, and I think we're not really using that sense of different perspectives when it comes to different kind of mental setups, and I think we could do that a lot more. And certainly something we try to do at the People Speak is to try and to get a richer understanding of different mental perspectives.
Okay, any takes on that?
Totally different world from what I come from, so never thought of it like that at all, being truthful. I come from a healthcare IT background, so we develop applications for hospitals and consultants, but I've never heard of that, so I just wanted to hear a bit more about it. What do you actually mean?
Okay, yeah, Ren is the specialist.
So, going back to your point, neurodiversity in general has evolved over the last however many years, even now, it's still evolving. As we speak, neurodivergence in general, people are more aware of people with autism, people with ADD, dyslexia, dyscalculia, dyspraxia, all of that. Chances are you know somebody, if you're not yourself, that is affected by one of these things, so, and lives with that as their daily experience. So, and it's basically, like in my talk, it was talking about contributing to open source software and how you can make open source more accessible for neurodivergent people. And some of the themes we came up with was just making sure that you have a contributor guide, that you're explicit about where you want your contributions, and that you make sure that you have a code of conduct and that it's enforced, and that you make sure that people know where to contribute and how to contribute.
Okay, excellent.
I mean, I just want to come to what I know more about, which is ADD, because I got diagnosed with ADD, but then they gave me the drugs, and yeah, for sure, I focused a lot more, but it totally changed my personality, and I didn't like what it made me become. And actually, what I felt I was giving to the world was actually this kind of crazy, sort of zany creativity, which seemed to be dampened down by the drugs. So in a way, you're sort of, by trying to make everybody normal and the same, you're kind of losing out on what those people can give you, I think.
Okay, that's your area of expertise, yeah. I think.
So coming back to what you were saying, and dyslexia, because I just went to a talk on Thursday at Photobox. It was about agile coaches and agile in the workspace and how it's used. And one of the gentlemen who spoke was their website's Wiser Noodles, and he does talks on agile and things like that. But he came back to himself. So the talk was going back and forth between different things, and he was talking about himself. So he goes, when I started to work, he goes, I couldn't do my laces. He goes, people were taking the fun out of me. But he eventually worked out he had, is it dyspraxia, I think, and then he had elastic laces. He put elastic laces in. He goes, wow, this has actually solved all my problems, just having elastic laces. And now he does talks all over the world about agile coaching and scrum mastering, things like that. And he goes, but that held me back previously. He goes, my held back was I couldn't do my lace. The world was going to end because if I did my laces in front of someone will say, look, he can't do his laces. But he goes, Laksh's laces. He goes, my whole world was solved.
Wow.
So I didn't have to do my laces, and I can still talk to the rest of the world.
Amazing, such a detail which can affect one's life so much. Mikey?
Well, I mean, at the People Speak, we work with most of the people that work for the People Speak are dyslexic, and the issue, I think, and it doesn't happen so much now, but older people, if they're dyslexic, they're always told they were not very clever because they couldn't read very well. So they tend to go into like the art world and stuff like that, more visual-based stuff. And actually, yeah, they are very, very clever people.
So do you think there is a bigger understanding of human brain right now?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely, I think, improving, yeah. But I think we've still got a long way to go to actually see, as you were saying, Ren, see it as an advantage rather than a sort of disability, that people think differently.
Okay, so anything to add? Yeah.
I think adding on to that more autistic people go into the art-based world. I know a few people, like my dad's friend. He's a really great artist, even though he has autism. Like he creates these big scale arts with like really big pieces of paper, and like it turns out it was really cool, really good.
Okay, and how old is he? Or she?
About 45 years old.
Oh, 45.
Yeah. So I knew him from college days, and he was one of the boys that no one wanted to. He was one of the boys that no one really wanted to hang out with. When I used to DJ, he made us our first logo and things like that. And I've still got it now. It's in a poster, but now he creates these pictures, locks himself away for a couple of days, and he'll draw these magnificent pictures, so detailed. Like now it's like 550 years of our first guru. You just draw a picture. And it's the amount of detail in that. It's just the granularity of the detail.
Yes, that's quite a signature for autistic people. The detail.
Yeah.
Sibel, you've been quiet. Do you know any autistic people who are creative?
I know people who have this spectrum, not totally autist. It's hard to say some words in English, but I have this spectrum. They are really smart person, Weird sometimes, but I'm weirdo too, so it doesn't matter. But they are really, really intelligent, great developers, great security person. So, but I don't have much to add for this conversation. I just know some people. That's it.
Ren, have you worked with autistic people?
Other than myself.
Are you?
Yes, I am autistic. I have ADD. I also have dyscalculia and dyspraxia. I am a unicorn.
Okay.
The whole spectrum. But other than myself, actually one other person in my professional career, and that is it. I have only worked with one other autistic person, so that says a lot. Our hiring options are bleak, usually. In the UK, there was a study done that says only 15% of neurodivergent individuals are currently employed full-time, compared to 57% of their neurotypical counterparts. So what can we do to improve those hiring pipelines, especially in tech? I don't know.
So what do we do to broaden the understanding of the brain and of the diversity?
I think from working in healthcare and IT, we just don't interview enough people. The amount of people I get coming through my door, if I had people with that skill, some of them are really good programmers as well, but we just don't employ enough. And I think we should have more awareness to get more people through the door and interview more people. Because if we don't give them the time of day, we can't see how good they are. And that's a key issue.
Okay, so interviewing more.
I mean, I think some people don't realise the barriers. Like talking from an ADD perspective, like filling out forms is very difficult to get it actually right. And so anything that involves filling out a form is a huge barrier, and that most jobs begin with filling out a form. And you just think, if you get a film that is filled out wrong, people just discard that without even. Because they've got 100 different forms, so there's like 5 that are not filled out right. Right, get rid of those first. So that's a huge barrier, but nobody realizes it's a barrier. And I think most of the things like that are barriers because they're designed for, as Ren says, neurotypical minds. People don't realize what those barriers are.
So any ideas how can that be improved? Like instead of filling forms, maybe some other sort of testing or...
I mean, tax is much more inclusive right now, has much more diversity. I mean, I work in Brazil with diversity and inclusion, mostly for women, cis and trans women in Brazil, but of course, neurodiversity people should be listened. I mean, many people don't know this has this, I don't think it's a problem. No, it's hard to find words to describe this. That's not my language, English. So it's not a problem, but I ain't saying problem. So sometimes people don't know they have. They are different, but different is good for me. My daughter has, she's bipolar, so I don't think she has a problem. She's just different than society says should be. So I think that it is look more deeply about these issues, not only the gender problems, but this too.
Okay, so final thought before you go, guys.
Final thought coming off the back of that topic, and I think we need to have more online applications for more voice recognition software. So say your name, it pre-populates, saying the address pre-populates, gives all your education detail. I don't think I've filled out many of applications, and I've not come across one single form which takes on voice recognition. If that could be something can be done, it'll be absolutely great for on the back of the gentleman's conversation. That'd be great. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Final thoughts?
Adding on to that, I think that would be a very good topic to cover because then you can have like voice recognition. Then you can recognize how the person reacts to different things and like how the person acts and speaks and stuff like that.
Great. Thank you very much. Nice having you. Have an amazing rest of the day.
Because then the cause of that is then the arms will know how to respond to the specific person.
So, yeah. Great. Thank you very much. Very clever boy. Okay. A little break, okay? No problem. Thank you very much for joining us. Final thoughts?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this opportunity because I just stopped here because I love it. The table is round and pink.
Grab a card.
I took this.
Took already?
Yeah, you should go to Brazil for sure. It's designed to go on a plane. So. Yes, please go to Brazil, visit me.
First class?
Yeah, first class is great, always great. No, it's too far, like 12 hours flighting. It's so far. No,
okay.
First class should be better. I don't know. I have no idea.
Molto
Thank
obrigado.
you, guys. Muito obrigado.
Muito.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad I sat down here.
Thank you very much, Ren.
It was
Thank you,
fun.
Sibel. It was fun. Thank you. Nice having you.